way. Well, no, I've forgotten one more thing. I wanted to show you how the guides work. This is important. We need a guide system that's easy to adjust. This is what we call the receiver. It is welded onto the frame, onto the movable guide, and it stays in place. I'm going to let him pan in, and you can see a square hole in this thing. I don't know if I need to hold it parallel. You can see it, okay? All right. With this square hole receiver, we have, as you can see, 4 adjustment bolts. And this square key stock goes into that. And of course, you can see if you've got adjustments here and here, and it's pivoting off of the square hole that fits snugly right in the front. So this goes in. Now, if I loosen these up enough, I'm going to show you the adjustments. It can move. It actually can move this away, like that, and it can move this away side to side. And I did loosen it enough, but anyway, you can get this thing very parallel. One of the key factors is when we put the blade and it gets in the cut and it pushes against it, it needs to fit flat against that flange. Now, why is the flange better than little bearings back there? If I touch this flange from here to here, I've got 1.5 inches at least that I'm supporting the back of that band against the back. If you've got a little roller bearing, and I'm going to demonstrate that with a little collar that I've got here. If I've got just a roller bearing back against the back of that blade, I've got all of the pressure at one central point that's very, very small. It's a very small spot. So that can cause damage to the back of the blade, and I don't want damage to the back of the blade because that can shorten the life of that blade very quickly. The other thing about this guide is we have the adjustments to go up and down. You can see the slot. I can loosen this nut on the bottom, tighten this nut on the top, and it makes this guide system go straight down. So I can adjust my pressure straight down, and we do want down pressure against the blade. I can adjust that straight down without affecting the tilt up or down or side to side. And so that's important. We have one other thing here. It's not a big deal, but it's just a sawdust blocker and trash. Sometimes you get a chunk of bark, it'll hit this and deflect off out of the way. Also wanted to show you, this is our mega guide system. We've got a 3/4 bolt that goes up through the center, and then there's the collars that go on. The collar goes on the front, the nut goes on. And this is basically how it looks. This nut tightens up real tight because it tightens the races inside. It's a very stable roller guide. We have on some of our mills, like the AC-51, AC-36 with a 51 horsepower. The roller guide system is a little smaller than this, but this is the one that goes on the 62 horsepower turbo engine and it will support up to a 2-inch blade. Both of the guide systems are very strong, and they're both built on the same simplistic nature as this one. This guide system is easy to adjust, and it's important to have a guide system that is easy to adjust, easy to maintain, so that you can saw straight. One more thing I want to show you. We have a drip system that is installed on the exit side with the sawdust, and we have one that's installed before it enters the first guide. It's a fairly simple system. It's not real complicated, but we just got a holder that will hold a felt wick, and we put the felt wick down against the blade and tighten the bolt. Then we have actually this, okay, we have an automotive type inline filter that filters all the trash that you might have before you get to your ball valves and your needle valves. We've got a ball valve that you can turn it off and turn it on. And then this is a needle valve that's got a sight window, and it's got a point where you can see the drip form and then drop off. So you can set it so that you can control. You can get a drop a second is generally what I put on them. Now if I've got something like pine that's real pitchy, I may open it up to 3 drops a second. We usually run straight diesel fuel. You could run diesel fuel, or you can run the purple parts cleaner if you don't like diesel and want to run water. You have freezing in the winter with the water, so you have to be careful of that. But diesel fuel mixed with burn oil, anything like that, it will go down, it will lubricate the blade, and this wipes it onto the blade like this. So we've got a thin film on the blade of lubrication at all times. It is a solvent also. But when you start off with this blade lubricated with a solvent, then the saps, the sugars, the resins cannot penetrate and bond to this steel. And so it's important to keep this blade clean. If this blade's not clean, it cannot saw straight. So these are some of the features that we have on the mill that makes the head work. And the head, remember, the head is the most important thing. If this head's functioning and sawing straight, then you got a mill that you're enjoying the day. I help people all the time get some problems lined out. And we had a guy call me just a few weeks ago, and he said, I've got a mill that will not saw straight. Well, we finally figured out his wheels were mounted in such a way from the manufacturer that he bought it from until he could not get this alignment correct on the vertical alignment of the band wheels. And so he said, what am I going to do? And I said, well, you're going to have to torch it off down here, remount the wheels in such a way that you can adjust that head forward. So he had to torch all this off, build something for it, and he called me back this past week and he said, I just want you to know that it is a great pleasure to run a mill that's sawing straight. So, you know, these problems we solve up front, and that's what Cooksaw does for its customers. We solve that up front. After the sale is an important time for a customer who buys a sawmill, because there's a lot to it. There's a lot of understandings that we're going to try to teach you. Just as I've shared a lot of technology with you here today, you'll find that we share more technology than any other manufacturer out there, and we continue that after the sale. When somebody calls into Cooksaw, we don't push them off the phone to grab somebody else and talk to them. We solve your problem, we move to the next person. We have the best sharpening equipment. We have the roller that's exclusive with Cooksaw. There's no other companies, manufacturers out there making the roller. We have that's exclusive to us. We have a dual tooth setter. We have some very, very nice sharpening equipment. There's nobody in the industry that can maintain the blades with the sharpening equipment like we have. There are some who have sharpening equipment, but it's not up to par. It won't do a good job with the blades. Sharpening the blade and having a blade that cuts, the most important thing. All the rest of this stuff holds the log, turns the log. And I'm gonna break away right now, and then when we come back, we'll be showing you some of the things, how we turn the log, how we handle the log, what we put into the log bed, and how we're going to handle this log fast and quick, because that is an important part of sawing fast. In this shot, I want to show you the dry bearing assembly. Now, this is the mega dry bearing assembly, and this assembly can take up to a 30-inch wheel. And I'm not suggesting that we build a mill with a 30-inch wheel, but I'm saying we sell 30-inch wheels to a lot of people who build their own mills, do different things with them, build special mills for different things. And this dry bearing assembly will support that 30-inch wheel. But on this mill, we have the 26-inch wheels. It's basically an overkill, but we want something that can take the pressure. It can stay in there and run year in, year out. We've got nice hardened shafts. We have the tensioning, not the tensioning, but the hinge right here that's a vertical hinge that allows for easy tracking. Now, what I mean by vertical hinge, we have a hinge point that goes down and it connects and it opens like a door. And as we let this open, of course, the band wheel changes on its horizontal tilt. And when we change the horizontal tilt, that makes the band either run backwards or run forward. So if I close the hinge up, the band will run back. If I open the hinge up, it will run forward. And so it's for easy tracking. And I mentioned earlier, we put a crown, we grind a crown into the wheel, so it rides on the crown that's in these wheels. We've done a lot of experimentation in finding the right crown for the band wheel. And so, you know, when you're buying a mill from Cooksaw, you're buying a lot of experimentation, a lot of time that we've put into it to find the right solution so that the mill runs the best all the time.